Hey, what's up, everyone? You are listening or watching my comic book journey podcast, and I'm your host, KNDY. And my journey takes me to 1992, April 1992, for Valiant Comics' Solar Man of the Atom. This is a series that definitely, it was not a huge seller in the beginning. But once Valiant Comics started to gain, a lot of traction, especially among the magazines and readers, Solar Man of the Atom just shot up as one of the top titles to read. But for those of you who were able to get the first 10 issues of Solar Man of the Atom, consider yourself lucky because you get that origin insert that they have, which was made of really, really nice thicker stock of paper, and featured the origin of Solar Man of the Atom. I'm sorry if I keep on saying Solar. Could be Solar Man of the Atom, but for some reason I kind of prefer Solar. Don't ask me why. But anyway, this comic book was written by Jim Shooter, penciled by James Brock, inker was Gonzalo Mayo, colorist was Mike Cavallaro, and the toasters letterer was Beth and Janks, and editor was Bob Layton. Okay, let us begin. So, when I read this issue, the first thing that came to my mind afterward was, wow, they really don't make comic books like this these days, don't they? And what I mean by that is, with today, or even later on with comic books towards the 90s and even the 2000s and so forth, as everyone knows that art has become such a big part of the I guess you could say the comic book industry, and you see big panels filled with action, and in terms of story, whether or not you get a good story depends on the writer and creator. And when it comes to Solar Man of the Atom, this issue is just an example. You have just a regular issue with so many characters, so many things that happen but are explained quite well, that you're just amazed of how much they were able to pack with each page, each panel, because you get a good amount of written work. And there's people who don't like to read. There's people who read comic Jim Shooter was pretty much putting a lot into the writing. You got a lot for your money, and I could say that for the storyline. It was very fascinating. So the storyline takes place after Solar has been fighting those alien insect type of things, and he's now returned home. But when when he's returning home, things have changed a lot. His girlfriend, Phil Selesky's girlfriend, Gail, is going through a lot, especially with a lot of the pressures of being known as the girlfriend of Solar, or just being seen with Phil Selesky and so forth. Meanwhile, Harada has been wanting to take care of Solar. He's just tired of these heroes really affecting his organization's plans. And Harada has always been a major antagonist for Valiant, but this one was rather interesting, and you get to see that he also has powers as well. Whether or not how powerful he is, you kind of have to keep on reading with Valiant Comics. But if anything, you have Solar fighting against a lot of bad people, and some people with special abilities. But what can you do against the being of light? I mean, the guy is just so powerful as is, and Yeah, unfortunately, there are people who are wise upon knowing that he gets affected by particle beams. So that's something that you start to learn about. And the origin story was also rather interesting because it dealt with Phil Selesky and how his relationship with Gail uh, has affected both of them because of the media attention that they've got because of Selesky being outed as Solar, the man of the atom, or some certain weird name that the media has dubbed him. But it's a very fascinating issue because there's just so much happening. But the way the story structure went, it was very well written. And this is prime Jim Shooter right here. I think Jim Shooter's work with Valiant, definitely one of his best. Not to say that Defiant was not great, because I enjoyed Defiant as well. It's just that his Valiant work is just top tier. And interesting enough is that in his editorial, he goes about why he was let go of Marvel. And that's because he tried to vouch for pay for creators. And whether or not, there's so many things with Jim Shooter that you read online, good and bad, from his years in Marvel, Valiant, and so forth. But the way I look at it is that, for me growing up, for me being young at the time, Jim Shooter comic books were the comic books that probably thousands of us grew up reading, because his career spanned many decades, and not just as editor-in-chief, but as a writer, he's written some really awesome work. But at the same time, he's a controversial character, like almost just like some of the people from Image Comics, right? Well known, made a lot of money, but some of them are just more trouble or problematic. But I think a lot of them have grown out of that, because a lot of this happened during their heyday, during the beginning of Image, and also the stuff that happened with Valiant and Ultraverse, and with Malibu, and so many other ones that with the comics industry just going downhill in the late 90s. For me, I just had to appreciate those early 90s, because there's some really good stuff out there. And with Valiant, I feel these are top-notch storylines. Yes, there's people who are going to say that, I like the 2012, I liked it when Valiant, they were with Acclaim, or I liked them when, now, with Alien books, comic book Alien, is it Alien books that they're part of, that acquired them? But the way I look at it is, I think Valiant storylines are just, as much as I know there was a lot of appreciation at the time, I think that appreciation was more for people wanting to get the comic book and try to flip it because it was so popular. Now, if you could get an issue, if you could get these in collected format, that's great. But for the most part, I think because so much time has passed, a lot of you have to probably get the comic books. And while a lot of issues past issue number 12 are easier to find, it's that elusive 10 that become difficult because of the Alpha Omega insert. But for the most part, I feel Solar is like just a real cool character. I read his storylines with Key Comics back then. I think it was at the 60s or so, or 50s. But those are some oldies that I've been trying to pick up, including the original Magnus, Robot Fighter, and so forth. But yeah, this issue is really good. So much going on, so many characters, and so many questions, as a lot of people are looking for Solar, because he's pretty much wanted. Everyone's just trying to figure out how this person developed these special abilities, and of course you get to see the craziness of his life now. But at the same time, I think he's just happy to be back in Earth and just experience things there again. And that means running into a tough group. So Okay, everyone, you take care, and I will see you later. This is Solar Man of the Atom, issue number 8 from April 1992. Okay, everyone, you take care, and I'll see you later. Wink, wink, and